Hey you guys, it is Worth Wednesday and I just wanted to come and chat with you guys a little bit about one of the aspects that I shared in my A Woman Who Knows Her Worth video. If you have not seen that yet, it is up on my YouTube channel. It is also on my Facebook page. Check that out if you haven't seen it yet. I just talked about a couple of things that a woman who knows her worth understands. I made sure to reiterate in that video that everyone needs reminders. All of us need to be reminded at different times in our lives that we will never be able to find worth. We will never be able to find confidence that lasts in anything outside of God. I don't care who you are. I don't care how long you try. I don't care how confident you look. There will always come a time when we realize that our weaknesses are nothing compared to God's strength, and that, God is able to show us who He is and give us a clear picture of who we are. So one of the things that I talked about in that video was that a woman who knows her worth is not defined by her flaws. This concept applies to anyone, men, women, single, married, young, old. Oftentimes with flaws or things that we think not good enough or they're not up to the standard of your family, your culture, a lot of times with those things we feel like if we can't change them, that we can't be fully confident, that we can't be sure of our worth. A flaw could be something physical. It could be an emotional weakness. It could be a mental illness. It could be a physical ailment. It could be something about your character that needs to be worked out. Or it could be, it could just be so many different things. There are so many things that if you all were to name right now what you consider a flaw about yourself, I think we would probably all be surprised at some point to see the things that we may consider flaws about ourselves. So what I want to encourage you, and I'm talking to me too, anytime I share anything, to do is to really look at your relationship with your flaws. How do you see your flaws? Because there are two extremes that you can exist in. You can be in denial that you have any flaws, or you know, but you don't want anyone else to know, and you're trying to manage those things. Or you can be someone who is obsessed with your flaws and it's all you talk about, it's all you think about. Those are the two extremes, and we don't want to be at either extreme when it comes to how we view our weaknesses. We want to be to a point where we have a level of acceptance of things that we can't do anything about. That doesn't mean we don't pray and ask God to heal if it's a physical, mental, emotional thing, or it doesn't mean that we don't work towards bettering something about ourselves when it comes to character, but it does mean that we have accepted that flaw exists, and we don't measure our worth by it. And I can give you an example. When I was young, when I was a little girl, I have really sensitive skin, and I was raised in the low country of South Carolina. I was raised by the water, and we have something there that we call sand gnats. And the average person could get a bite from a gnat, and it might get a little red, it might itch a little. But for me, if I would get a bite like on my legs or my arms, it would just be like massive. It would turn into, it was just not cute at all to me. And I just remember being in elementary school and just being so obsessed with the fact that I had these imperfections on my skin. And I don't even remember how old I was, but I remember crying and, being in my parents' room talking to them about it. And then maybe 4 years ago, I almost had a flashback of that because as a full-grown adult, I remember being at home in my hometown, talking to my parents and just literally bawling about how certain physical imperfections impacted my life, my quality of life. And I just kind of had a flashback in that moment of the fact that from a small child to a woman in my 30s, there were still things about me that I was trying to fix, thinking that if I can just fix these things, then I'll be confident. Then I can really be bold and I can really step out and do the things that are in my heart to do. Then I can really be sure of myself. And in that moment, I feel like God, brought to my attention that there's always going to be something that I'm trying to fix. In that if I'm basing my confidence, if I'm basing my worth, if I'm basing my value, if I'm basing my permission to show up with confidence and stand tall in who He made me, if I'm basing those things on the absence or presence of a flaw, then I would always be doing that. And I decided that I did not want to live that way. Now, in that moment, that doesn't mean that everything was fixed. That doesn't mean that I've never had a struggle like that again. I feel like it's always going to be something that presents itself. I'm always going to be presented with the opportunity to base my worth, my confidence, and my value on my flaws, or to base my worth, my confidence, and my value in God, and know that He made me and that He loves me, and the things that I have that are considered strengths, that are admirable to myself and to the world, are good things, but that those things don't determine my worth or my value either. And so maybe you can think of a moment where you've been presented with a decision to base your worth and your value on something that's wrong with you, or to stand tall in your confidence that God made you, and that what He does well, and that you're fearfully and you're wonderfully made. What are some things that you can think of that maybe have a hold on you, that may not even be bad things to try to fix, but in your mind, they are the end-all and be-all of your confidence, your wellness, and your worth? What are some things that come to mind for you? I'm definitely going to share more and dig a little deeper as time goes on, so that you can be encouraged, and so that you can continue to grow in knowing who you are as well, in knowing that you are worthy despite your flaws. So I'm going to actually end this here. Check out the YouTube video that I posted yesterday, I think, on a woman who knows her worth. Leave me some comments. Tell me some things that maybe you've grown in, or that you want to grow in, that you are growing in as it relates to your relationship with your flaws, your imperfections. I would love to hear those things. I'm sure I will be encouraged by them, and I am certain that others who read your comments will appreciate your comments. Just sitting and talking with other people and being open and honest about how different things that have happened in our lives have affected the way we see ourselves and other people. It's just really freeing. We help each other so much when we're willing to uncover and when we're willing to really be good listeners and embrace others. And I've been memorizing Romans 15. My intention was to know the whole chapter by now. I know most of it, but I can definitely say that Romans 15 and 1, 2, and 3, I would say, really apply to this thing of sharing our weaknesses for the purpose of strengthening others and for the purpose of drawing strength. And Romans 15:1 says, "We who are strong have an obligation to bear with the failings of the weak and not to please ourselves. Let each of us please his neighbor for his good, to build him up. For Christ did not please himself. And as it is written, the reproaches of those who reproached you fell on me." Those couple of verses just really emphasize the fact that as people of God, we are encouraged, we are admonished, we are instructed to bear with each other's weaknesses. I hope you're encouraged. Make sure you subscribe, share this. Please leave me a comment. What are some things that you have overcome as it relates to your relationship with your flaws and your worth? All right. Thanks for watching.